Is it the first signs of a market crash? Gold goes down, Brent crude oil goes up, and the S&P 500 holds station. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders. Welcome to Trade of the Day on this Wednesday, the 22nd of October, 2025. Don't forget, trading's risky. If you don't like risk, you probably shouldn't be trading. Let's have a look at the US 500. Is the US 500 going to crash, or is it going to hold up? Now, as I've said to you guys before, my big concern about the US 500, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, and many of the other indexes is simple. And that is, this has just been a buy, no matter what. The tariffs, the market shuts down, the government shuts down, everything happens and everything goes on in the background. Fundamentals take place. That Netflix has a terrible loss. The earnings season is not great. What's going to happen in future earnings if the government stays shut down, and so on and so on and so on. And I can continue on like this forever. Will the market just keep buying? Everybody just keeps on buying the market without any worries in the world. Nobody cares that there's so much going on fundamentally in the background. And this is a terrible sign. But if I look at gold and I look at the commodities, they've been flying up, which tells me banks have been buying, no matter what the relative strength is. If we put an indicator in here called the RSI, if we have a look at the RSI, the relative strength index, you guys know about this, I've told you about the relative strength index. If you look at the relative strength index and you look at what's happening here, this thing has been overbought for an extended period of time, which tells me that the banks have been buying into this and the institutions have been buying into this without worrying about the fact that it's overbought, which means they're concerned about the index, which means they have concerns about what's happening on the other side. Now it's come back, relaxed, gone into a normal position. It kind of is turning around. Now, what happened yesterday with the commodities may have been an event, may have been the banks thinking that everything's coming back to normal and they're dropping out of this like a stone. So one of two things are going to happen. Commodities are going to come crashing back down again because the banks move their money over, or this is going to end sad. Because what it's done now, it's come up to this level, it's sat at this level, and it's sitting on this resistance. And if you look at the resistance on the S&P 500, it can do one of two things. It can break through and head up to 7,000, or it can give a big red candle and correct all the way back down. Correction can be imminent if you look at this entire situation, because everybody's just been buying. Nothing has been resolved in the background. Things are still going on that are just not right. And it just looks to me like there's a very good chance that we could get the correction. But on the flip side, like I say, we could head off into the Christmas with a 7,000 hit, which is amazing. That's great. Let me get my crystal ball out and have a look and try and predict the future for you, because you know we can't predict the future, and neither can the charts. Nothing can actually predict the future. All we can do is look at what happened in the past and see if it'll all likelihood happen again in the future. Now, what we did is the short on the DAX, worked out, and it came back, and I was waiting for it to retest the total resistance before getting another short. So I was thinking maybe it'll get to the top here and then we can get another short into the DAX, because I am thinking that these things are going to turn around. The proof is in the pudding. When you look at gold and you look at this big fall, you look at all the other commodities also falling off the bus. This has got a lot to do with disinvestment. They put all their money in here for safe haven trading, and now they're seeing things turn around again. They always know things before we do, and it looks like it wants to turn around and start falling down. So that's actually a big line in the sand, a lot of information to take in. I'm waiting for a nice long trade on Brent crude oil. Brent crude oil looks like a long trade. If it breaks through that resistance and breaks above that level, then I'm thinking that will be a great long trade again. Brent crude oil back in for another long trade. United States dollar, South African rand, I was looking at this one again, but I'm waiting for it to break above that prior high, above those highs, above those tops, because that's where all the liquidity is. If it breaks through and gives me an upside there, then I'll look at another long trade on that. United States dollar against the euro, United States dollar, I'm short on that based on the fact it broke through the trend resistance, and it looked like it was going to go long, came back, broke back down into this level again, and with it breaking back down into this level again, looks a bit weak. So I've taken the short trade on this with the target down lower on that. So it's still in trend. I'm basically trading it in the trend and staying with the trend. Bitcoin, for those of you who trade crypto, look at the crypto all bearish all the way down, came back up, hit this level, and as I told you guys, it'll hit this level and come back down again. It seems to be in this trend that looks like it wants to come down. My little crystal ball tells me this will probably go down to 90,000 before it starts getting strength again, but it could just go from here. I mean, 100,000 is quite a level, but I just looked at 90,000 because I saw this big head and shoulders develop here, and if I project that head and shoulders, it projects down to around 90,000. And if it gets to 90,000, somewhere between 80,000 and 90,000, looking for long trades, looking for decent long trades there, it'll probably go back up to 125. Today's trade of the day is an interesting one, and that is something that you guys probably haven't really traded with me, and that is the Euro New Zealand dollar. The Euro New Zealand dollar, look at this chart, nice bullish run to the top, been running nicely, been going up. Then what I see at the top, shoulder, head, shoulder, another head and shoulders has developed. When you start seeing lots of head and shoulders in the market, that's another sure sign we're heading for some kind of crash, some kind of move to the downside. And you start picturing these things all over the place. There was a time, may have been back in 2008, I can't remember, maybe in 2012, I saw all these head and shoulders all over the market. I ignored them. I was thinking, can't be, it's impossible. How can there be so many head and shoulders all over the market? Next thing, poof, there she goes. Massive crash straight after seeing all these head and shoulders. So keep an eye on them. They are there, and there could be a signal in the market that we're heading for something interesting. But what I look at here, this is broken through the structure. It's broken through the structure. And the easy way to negate all of these crashes and all of these things that happen in the markets is to manage your risk and to have a strategy. In other words, we trade with a system, but we make our money on the strategy. And the strategy is simple, as you guys know. Make more on your wins, lose less on your losses. Doesn't mean it has to be 2-to-1. It just means make more on your wins and lose less on your losses. Not complicated, guys. In other words, don't risk $500 and win $50. Try and win $500 and risk $50. That way around, you know, that's it. Easy. Anyway, this is broken to the downside. It has looked like it's gone through that trend support. I'm looking at it probably going all the way down to the main support down here. There is a bit of risk here, and but there's a lot of reward down to the bottom side. And there's the head and shoulders, which projects basically down to this level. So I'm expecting it'll reach the 200 level, 199.682 perhaps, and that'll give us a decent short trade. So Euro New Zealand dollar short is the trade of the day today. And if you missed yesterday's trade of the day, was the Euro United States dollar short. Similar scenario, broke, but slightly different. This is in a bearish trend, and it's broken back into the trend and looking rather weak. And then the other trade, as I said, that I'm looking at is this Brent crude oil. The Brent crude oil looks decent. It's in a bearish trend, but I'm waiting for it to counter trend. You know, we trade three ways. We trade the three ways. We trade in the trend, we trade in the range, and we counter trade or break out or break down, whichever of the above. And this one looks like it might break to the upside. So what you get here is you get it breaking out of this trend resistance, and it also breaks up through the support resistance level. Well, it was a support, it broke through, it's now a resistance. You'll notice I drew that line in yellow, not green or red, because it's in between. But if it breaks above that, it's breaking above that prior high, and it's a breakout, it's breaking to the upside, it'll break through that trend resistance. That'll be a great trade, and I think that trade will go all the way up to 70 or 69 or somewhere around that level. So Brent crude oil also looks like a great trade for today. I was looking at gold and thinking, should we go long on gold? Should we take the long trade on gold? It's been bullish. It's been all the way. We had this big collapse yesterday, and it does tell me that the institutions are looking at taking their money out, but then I see all the buyers getting back in. I see the couple of green candles in structure in the trend. So we've got to look at that, and we've got to say, this could look like a reasonable buy from these levels, with targets up here at the double top. I know we've got the double top in place, but it does look reasonable for a decent long trade in that sort of picture. So keep an eye on that. That might be worthwhile. That might be worthwhile trading. Don't know how much of a long trade you get. It might only go up to here and then come down. But like I say, gold looking like a possible reasonable long trade. But today's trade of the day, Euro New Zealand dollar short. Grab it, make some money, and it'll be a fun day for you. So on that note, make lots of money, have a great trading day, and I'll probably see you back tomorrow for another members video, and I'll also see you for the live show at 1400 GMT+2 tomorrow but I'm taking the rest of today to myself. Haha, no more videos. I'll spot you guys on the rebound. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Ciao. Bye.